It's changed, retirement changed us, our perspective has changed us. So tell us a little bit about how you got started, because you're on the taller side of things. Tell us how you got into this.
I got into bodybuilding like most teenagers, really. You know, at a young age, you pick up a weight, just like, you know, trying it out. But I loved it. Literally, I loved it. From the first time I picked up a dumbbell and felt a pump, I just thought, like, this is something I enjoy, this is something I want to do. But for me, it was never like a career plan. I didn't even plan to be a bodybuilder. It was just the case of, I love this, I love the pump, I love training, this feels amazing.
How long ago was that for you?
That was when I was 15.
Okay.
So I'm like 31 now, coming on 32, so like it's been a long time, you know.
Have you seen a bodybuilder, or have you seen somebody that looked like you?
I knew of bodybuilders, you know. Obviously you also know about the muscular physiques that you see in like the films that you watch, or, you know, Rambo, you know, obviously Arnold as well, you know. But it was never my intention to, you know, blow up and be a bodybuilder. It was just, I love training. Like, this feels really good and I want to do it, you know. And the thing is, consistency, like, you keep doing it for a long time, you're going to start to notice changes. And I after a few years, I started to notice, you know, I'm putting on some real size, you know.
Did that happen because you started figuring out what foods to eat and maybe what body parts to train? How did that happen?
Initially, like, because obviously when I started, there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook, there was no social media,
right.
You know? It was just me, my dumbbells, and my mirror. So I was training at home for a few years, you know, and I was just enjoying it. And it was only when, like, one of my brother's friends came around, saw me and said to my brother, your brother's getting really big. And I was like, oh really? You know, like, it was something I didn't even realize myself. And then, and at that time, there was no structure to my training. You know, I was just training every day, hitting whatever felt good. You know, I'm doing press-ups, dips, and stuff like that. And so hearing that feedback made me want to do more, you know, get even better. So started doing my research, started adding exercises at home, started building up my equipment. Did this for a good few years, to the point where you could call my bedroom a mini gym. And I mean that. I had a preacher curl bench, wide grip chin up bar, bench press, easy bar. Like, I spent all my money on gym equipment, okay, and filling up my room with, like, just training equipment. And yeah, I just really got into it, you know.
So while you were getting into this sport, what did your friends and family think about it? Because clearly this is a departure from, you know, getting an education or working a job. Here you are obsessed with working out.
That's the thing. I always say to people, I did this while doing the other stuff, you know, like while going to college, while going to uni, while going to work. I had a 9 to 5 before I turned it into a career. I was doing a 9 to 5, but throughout I've been training. You know, it's like my friends at a younger age it used to be funny to them, not like because they'll be chilling, playing computer games, and I'd literally be there curling a dumbbell or doing press ups while chilling with them. And it was just, that's Simeon's thing. Simeon loves gym, Simeon loves training, you know. But yeah, no, they were all cool about it. You know, family were. Yeah, no, everyone was fine with it.
Typically when you fall in love with the weights and the physique and you see the change in the mirror, there's an end game. Like, now you want to go to the next level, which for me was competition. I wanted to find out what I was made of.
Sure.
How was it for you? What did you want to do?
For me, it's funny. It's the same driving force when I was younger is the same one I have now. I just want to self-improvement. That's it. I just want to be better. I want to be stronger. I have set numbers in my head that I want to lift. For me, physique, like the visual aspect, has never been the actual driving force. That came almost accidentally. It was like, I love heavy lifting, you know, and physically, obviously it made my physique grow to a certain way, but it was never, I need to look a certain way. You know, it's always, I enjoy lifting. You know, I enjoy lifting heavy. So there wasn't necessarily an end goal. There wasn't even a person's physique that I looked to say, this is how I want to look. It was just, I love lifting. You know, I love lifting, which is, you know, I created a brand called Just Lift. And the reason behind that is, that's what I do. I just lift, I love it. That is why I lift, you know?
Somewhere along the way, people started liking what you're doing, because then we have the social media.
Sure. Yeah.
You're like 3 million plus people following what you do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You're on the cover of Muscle Fitness,
Yeah.
RX Fitness for Men.
Yeah.
Now suddenly, you're being looked at differently in terms of what it is that you have to present to the world,
Sure.
because clearly the world is watching.
Yeah.
Kai Green was talking about responsibility. With fame comes a little bit of power, comes a little bit of money, then opportunity, but more importantly, responsible. So what do you want people to take away when they look at your physique and when they look at your body at work? What are you trying to do with all of this?
Well, basically, it's the same message that I've had from the start. I get extremely enthusiastic about training. I'm passionate about it. And I think that's why I've built a following. It's because of my passion for training. All I want to do is encourage others to get involved in what's given me so much benefit in my life. That's it, training has, it was a hobby. It was something I did for fun, but it's changed my life. It's put me in a certain position. And what I can lend that to is I can lend that to the fact that consistency in something that you're passionate about can change your life. So I always try and translate that message for people to take it, not just through fitness, but through the fact that if you're consistent with something, if you're passionate about it, and you're patient, you can achieve like crazy things.
Well, we see that it's worked for you, and then I saw something about being the fittest couple as well. Like, how does that work? Like, you're an individual. We can see you doing it, but a fittest couple, what's that all about?
For us, my partner and I, it's not a big deal for us. We love training. We love training together. We train together most days. It's a nice accolade, but we don't take it serious.
It's not competitive.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
You do your thing, she does her thing, and it winds up being the fittest couple.
It's how they wanted to put it, But for us, we just love training. We both enjoy training together, It's just and if we can encourage couples to train, that's a great thing. So
are you a personal trainer? Can people come and work out with you?
No, I used to be. I was a personal trainer. I mean, if I give you a brief history, after leaving uni, I went to become a PT, and I was a PT for 3.5 years. I enjoyed it, but then I, felt like I wasn't as active as I'd like to be in other things, mentally, So I then left personal training and I studied accountancy, and I became a trainee accountant, and then I was working in finance for 3-4 years. Now, while doing this, I still was training the whole time, been training. And 10 years had passed of training. And I thought, I've got all this experience, I should share it. I don't want to personal train anymore. I don't want to be in the gym, but I've got a lot of knowledge now with what I've been doing. How can I, share it? So I created a blog, I created a website. And what I also say to people is all the things that you like, because I get messages from young guys saying, I want to leave school and do what you do. And it's like, no, you need to understand. Everything I've done before this has helped this,
Right.
So, because I studied graphic design. So when I did create ebooks and a website, I designed it. I didn't have to find someone and say, can you design this for me? I've got this thing. No, I wrote it, then I designed it, I put it out. Website, I designed it, I put it out. So everything I did before played into what, the later career,
right.
And then so eventually I left. No, so I was doing my 9 to 5, working in finance, and while doing that, the other thing I tell people is you have to sacrifice, And when I say that, it's while doing my 9 to 5, I was using my lunch breaks to design my website and to do my ebooks. After I'd finished my 9 to 5, I'd go and train, get back, study for my accountancy exams, then design my ebook. So you have to sacrifice your time if there's things that you want to achieve. It's not just going to happen overnight, and it's not going to be free. You're going to have to sacrifice something to get it. So I did that. Eventually, I launched the website, I launched the ebooks, and the growth after was exponential. People reacted to the stuff that I put out. They liked what I was doing. Within 3 to 6 months, I was in a position where I could leave work. But I'm the kind of person that I'm very active. I like to be active, I like to be busy, and I didn't want to just leave my 9 to 5 that I was quite okay with. I was doing good in it, I was getting promotions, I was doing really well, but I didn't want to just leave it, even if the money was right. I wanted to be busy. Right. And then eventually the time came where I had booked seminars to do, and it was like my work was so, they knew my long-term plan, and they were very flexible. They used to let me take time off to go and do events. But then it got to a point where there were so many events that I needed to leave. And when I left, that's when things really kicked off.
That's funny, because Ronnie Coleman said the same thing when he was a police officer. Yeah. They would give him enough time off to train and diet for the Mr. Olympia. And when he won his first Olympia, he went right back to work. Yeah. It was after he won his second Olympia that he realized that my work is being Mr. Olympia. Sure. And when he dived in full time, he went on to win another 7 in a row. Yeah. So you have to take that leap.
You do.
To follow your passion. The money will come, but you weren't doing it for the money.
No.
So is it a formula that you can replicate with just an individual that's watching you, or is it something they have to put in the work like you did when no one's watching, to know the brand, to know what's marketable, to know where their passion is in order to get other people to follow?
Whenever someone asks me, how can I build more followers, or something to that effect, I just say to them, look, at the end of the day, you have to have something to offer. What have you got to offer? What are you, and by that, I mean, when I'm putting stuff out, I'm sharing knowledge on something that can help someone, you know? People need to benefit from following you. Like, why do you want them to follow you? Just for the sake of it? You know, like, people were, like, I assume people followed me because I was putting out information and I was passionate about training, and that passion can be encouragement to someone just about to hit their session, you know? Like, I'll post something saying, you know, I just did X weight on blah, 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 feeling good, blah, blah, blah. Someone's gonna read that and they're gonna, I'm excited, I'm gonna go hit a nice session. Yo, and I'll even get the comment, thanks for that, Sim. I'm about to go hit my session, I'm gonna try the exercise or blah, blah, blah. You need to put something out that helps other people. You know, it's not just, people are not just gonna follow for the sake of it, you know?
So do you put out pictures of like eating a cheeseburger?
I put everything, like, you know, like, so like eating a cheese, that's what, I live like a normal life. In terms of, my diet isn't like a bodybuilder's diet. I eat healthy food like 90% of the time, but that's not like, how can I put it, set because I want to be a certain way. I like eating healthy food. Healthy food is good for you. I want to be healthy. It's not just a case of I want to be a bodybuilder by any means. No, I want to live a healthy life, you know? And that includes eating a cheeseburger, going to the movies, going on holidays. It includes normal life. Like, a lot of people get stuck in this, to be a bodybuilder, I need to restrict my life, and that's it. And it really isn't that.
So where do you live?
Right now I live in LA.
You live in LA?
Yeah, but I'm born and raised in London. I only moved to LA just over a month ago. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you wind up on the cover of Muscle and Fitness? Like, they just called you out of the blue, or did you go after them?
No, they called me and said, like, we want to put you on the front cover.
But what did they say? Like, we've been following you on social media? How did they find you?
Exactly that. We've been following what you've been doing. We're impressed by it. We like it. We think that you've got a good message for the people at the moment, and we want to share your story, you know?
And so, that sharing of that story, did you say what you just got done telling us? That you were just a guy working out with a dream, and they wanted to share that on the cover of the magazine? I mean, that's a big deal.
Exactly that. I also it timed with the Olympia. So I was at the Olympia, I did 2 seminars at the Olympia, and it was, again, me sharing my story and just letting people know that if you're passionate about something, you can do anything. You know, I do videos on YouTube where I just try and tell people that your passion can take you a long way, a very long way. You know, like, there's things that people think that they'll never be able to do. And one thing I always try and address with people is stop looking at people and putting them on pedestals and thinking they have something special that you don't. The difference is just like, put your time and effort into something that you believe in, and you can achieve anything, and that's anything. And it doesn't have to be something to do with entertainment. It's not, oh, to be a singer, to be an actor. Even if it's something like being a lawyer, if that's something you want to do, knuckle down, study, and you can do it. When I was doing my accountancy exams, I wasn't planning on being just another accountant. I was planning on being one of the best. And it wasn't because I couldn't become the smartest. It's because I was willing to do the exams, study as hard as I need to be the best I could be at that.
So it's funny, because that's what Ronnie Coleman had said. He was an accountant, and he wanted to be the best accountant.
Yeah.
He was a cop, and he wanted to be the best cop.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that he wound up being 8-time Mr. Olympia.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a certain commonality in champions that when you set out to do something, you set out to be the best you can be as an individual, and all the fruits of the labor may or may not come. If it doesn't come, like Kai Green, Kai wants to be a Mr. Olympia. When he realized that maybe that's not something he's gonna be, then he started opening, the doors opened for other things that he could elevate himself in, and now, like yourself, he's got a huge social media following. He's got his own supplement company. He's creating his own platform separate from trying to pursue Mr. Olympia. You look like you could be a lot of things. You could be a football player, a track runner. You look like an athlete.
I appreciate that. I mean, my next career goal is acting. That's why I did move to LA. That is what I'm going to pursue, and I'm going to pursue it hard. And yeah, you know, I'm going to put my best efforts into it.
So your best advice to someone has more to do with passion, rather than trying to just become Mr. Olympia, so to speak.
It's passion and consistency, but then
but
knowing that it's not free. You shouldn't even want it if it's free. And when I say that, I mean, if something is that easily achievable, like, for me, I enjoy the work. You know, I enjoy, like, when I look at the goal of becoming an actor, I see the challenge and I think, amazing, I can't wait, let's do this. Like, I'm excited for the work. I wouldn't want it to just happen overnight.
Can't appreciate it.
I can't appreciate it, you know? Like, I can appreciate my position right now, knowing that if I look back, I did put that work in. You know, there were times that I did, like, you know, I worked nights. There's things that I did that I can say, yes, I did. It paid off. You know, it was worth it. rather than it just came overnight, it was free, it was easy.
Yeah, Kai Green said he was in a juvenile delinquency detention center, and they would let him out to go to the gym, and then he would come back. And now, I mean, here he is, a 3-time Arnold Classic winner, a 3-time First Olympia runner-up. He's looked at a whole lot different. It was the things that he was doing when people weren't looking that made him who he actually is.
And it will also mean that when things do happen for you, you're more appreciative of it, and you're able to relate to people that are trying to do what you do, because you can empathize with them because you were there, you know? So that's why obviously Kai, when he's with people, is very humble, is very, you know, that he's genuinely happy to conversate with them and encourage them. That's genuine, it's not put on.
He's been on both sides of the fence.
Yes, exactly.
So what do you say to a guy that's wanting to start off? Is it smart to go out and hire a personal trainer, which fast tracks all those trials and errors that they're gonna miss? Like, I didn't have a trainer when I started. I didn't have a nutritionist, didn't have a coach. I just did my thing, and I learned my body. And now you have people coming in, they see the finish line, which is like you with 3 million followers, and they say, hey, look, how do I get there? Do you encourage them to try to figure it out on their own?
I would say that it's a combination of both. Yes, you do need to figure stuff out on your own, but at the same time, why not draw on the knowledge of people who are experienced? You know, the only thing I would say is where something like personal training is concerned, I myself had clients that I was training for years and literally leave them on their own, and they would just wouldn't have a clue. So take in what you're being told, and you know, just take in what you're being told. Just learn, you know.
Got any questions out there for you guys? We could be looking at our next Hollywood blockbusting actor over here. Yes, you don't have a microphone, but she does, I think, or you don't? Yeah,
I can hear you.
Go ahead. He's got the mic over here. Here we go. Got to turn it on. It's a little tiny button on the bottom. He's gonna videotape you trying to figure out how to turn it on. If you hit the bottom, that's not the on button. There's a switch. Find it? All right. Now we'll give you one that works.
There we go. There we go.
All right, Sim, you're obviously a huge social media figure. So my first question is, have you heard about Brad Castleberry?
Yes, of course.
To me, he is the reason why, he's the negative impact of bodybuilding and social media, right? You obviously being a figure, you show people the way, you motivate people, etc. What do you think about him? And we're obviously going to see more of such figures like Brad Castleberry in the coming years, especially knowing our generation is the social media generation. So what do you think about that?
I'll tell you what, one of the reasons why I'm in the position that I'm in, I would say, is because I concentrate on what I do and push what I do alone, you know, and just try and encourage people with with what I do, you know, rather than speaking on what other people are doing. And that is something that a lot of people need to do. Concentrate on your own growth and your own progression, you know. Don't worry about what other people are doing. So I understand what you're after with the question, but I would say just to concentrate on what you do, you know, and your own progression.
Go ahead.
Hi, Simon.
Hi.
And you are an aesthetic king, like everybody knows here.
I appreciate
so whenever I hit the gym, I always put into the YouTube Simeon Panda motivation. It really motivates me to the core.
I'm very glad to hear that.
So I just wanted to ask a question. Since you were a hardcore ectomorph, like
Yes.
I saw your picture.
Yeah.
So you did dirty bulking, or you were maintaining a lean muscle mass, like what body you have right now, such a phenomenal body you have. So you have built it lean muscle, you did bulking, then cutting. How you come here?
Okay, I've never bulked in the traditional sense. I've never, like, you know, as I said to you guys, my diet is just like, I eat like what I consider healthy food, and it doesn't change month to month or week to week. It stays the same. Even when I did compete, like for my competitions, I would tweak my diet a little bit and add cardio, because I never used to do any cardio, and adding cardio used to help me drop the last bits of fat. But my diet is consistent, which is why if you check my whole transformation pictures from like 2001 till today, I've always been lean, always right throughout. And that's because the diet stays the same, the training stays the same, it's intense. everything is consistent, which is why I always speak on consistency, because that's the main thing.
Do you cardio every single day?
No. Cardio, again, like I said, I only recently started adding cardio with age. So when I was younger, it was very easy for me to stay lean. You know, even when I didn't have a good diet and I was eating anything, I was still lean. But then as age has has caught up with me, so you know, like when you reach 30, your metabolism will start to slow down. People used to say it to me. I didn't.
You don't have to tell me.
and I didn't, you know, take it. But then I saw it. I literally saw it. It's like, oh, it's hard to stay lean now. So I started adding cardio. So I do cardio maybe 3-4 times a week. You know, and it's nothing too intense. Intense cardio wouldn't necessarily benefit what I'm doing, because it's not what I need to cut that last bit of fat. So yeah, I do it about 3 times a week.
And what body fat percentage do you maintain majority of the time?
I really don't know. For me, I have a visual image that I'm happy with, that I like to see, and as long as I stay within that, I'm cool. If I notice that I'm a bit fluffy in certain areas, I will tweak my diet a bit, but yeah, in general, I'm not sure exactly what the figure is.
Hi, Simeon. I have a question regarding the social media and
Sure.
getting sponsored.
Okay.
My name is Yahya AK. I'm followed in the Middle East by 1.5 million people in
Awesome.
the Middle
Wow.
East. But until now, I can't get sponsored or even getting published in any fitness magazine.
Okay.
So my question now is, what is the next step for me? Is it to compete, to get my name there in the industry, or what do you recommend for me?
It doesn't necessarily have to be competing. That could be an aspect, but I'll tell you what, you've got to think. I own a clothing company and a training accessories company. We sponsor people. What do I look for? It's not just your following. You know, it's as an individual, what is your personality like? How do you interact with people? What are you even posting? Like, you know, like, just because you have that many followers doesn't necessarily mean that the message you're putting out is something that my company might agree with, you know? So it's many factors, you know, more than just this X amount of following, you know? It's you know, for me personally, I'll be looking at the character of the individual and how they relate to people and the message that they're putting out, and if it relates to the brand, you know? So brands will be looking for that as well, I assume, you know?
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember Kevin Levrone came up with him, and he was pretty much done bodybuilding. He got bit by the bodybuilding bug, and when he decided to come back, his social media followers came out, and it transformed his outlook on trying to become more than just another competitor on the stage. He realized that he was carrying the torch for all these 50-plus athletes that were sitting at home doing absolutely nothing, and his followers wanted to follow him on that journey. So sometimes, depending on what you're involved in, you can't stimulate other people to follow you because they may have the same interest and see how you're going to wind up doing. But the character for other larger social media people, everyone goes back and looks at where you were in the beginning. So if you're this person in the beginning and then you did a 360, they don't know which person they're dealing with. So you want to have a level of consistency of what you're putting out there, I'm sure.
Exactly.
We have another question over here?
I just have a last question. Sorry. Supplements play how many percentage of role in whether it comes to bodybuilding, maintaining or losing fat or gaining muscle, XYZ? How much percentage it does matter?
It's a difficult one to pull a figure and say it's this percent, you know. With supplements, you just got to understand the word. It's a supplement. It's supplementary to everyday normal things. And why would you supplement? It's because you, like, for us people that train, we're putting a tax on our body that regular people don't, you know? So if you can't get all the nutrition, you're gonna need to, or you're gonna want to supplement to get the best out of your training, you know? So if you need to remember what a supplement is, and that's what it is, you know? There's guys out there that don't use supplements. No one ever tells you that, do they? And they manage to achieve their goals, fantastic. But then, again, like I said, if you want to get the best out of it, then you're gonna supplement.
So if you're training really hard, supplement does matter.
Of course, as long as you want to get the best out of your training, you know. So you obviously you need to find out what supplements you need for your specific goals as well, you know.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, as it relates to me, I didn't even get supplements until I turned pro.
Exactly.
So they weren't part of my regime. And then I realized, you know, in the overtraining, in the excess consumption of water, and all the sweat, all the minerals and vitamins I was losing, the supplements did kind of help you recover and help you repair the muscles that you tear down, but it wasn't one of the first things we reached for.
No.
Because if you're not training to failure, if you're not breaking down the muscle and taxing the body, the supplements aren't going to work for you. They are supplements. That's a complement
Exactly.
to what you're already eating and consuming and how hard you're training.
Yeah, mate. So a lot of people have kind of spoke about a few things here. So one thing I liked what you said was you talked about the journey.
Yes.
You said the journey to achieving something's the best thing. A lot of people who train, I mean I don't train, but a lot of these people that do train, they want things straight away. And they're not so bothered about the journey. How important to you is patience? How important is that not only in training, but the social media? Everyone wants things now.
Yeah.
How important is patience?
Wow, it's huge, man. It's huge. For me, I can't relate to wanting something without the work, you know, because how I've grown up, you know, if you want anything, you're gonna have to work for it. You're gonna have to, you know, some of the things that, you know, I've done and I've got now, I wouldn't even have dreamed would have been possible. But it was falling in love with the work that has led me there, you know. I really do wish people would want to enjoy working at something to achieve it, rather than just looking at an image. Do you know what? It's funny because, as I said to you guys, when I started, there was no Instagram, no Facebook, and no YouTube, etc. I think that was a very good thing, because I remember training and it would be in my room with some music on, and I really didn't have any influences. I didn't have anyone to my left or right saying I want to look like that guy, or things need to happen faster because he's my age and he looks a certain way. Instagram now, like imagine the visual stimulus for a young guy starting now. Like you're literally gonna go, wow, 18-year-old looks huge. How do I do that? You know, that's where you concentrating on your own progression will help you heaps, because it will stop you being influenced. It will stop you moving in any direction that could sway you from just, you know, being focused on your own progression. You know, so yeah, with the patience. Like I say to guys, I always like to reiterate, I've been training 17 years. You know, it's not a short period of time. Some of the guys that contact me are 17. Do you know what I mean? It takes a while, you know? When the career side kicked off for me, I'd been training 10 years. You know, so it didn't, and I'm not saying that someone that's just starting their journey cannot push for all the success in the world. Of course, I even tell guys as well, I have some guys that come up to me and say, I want to start documenting my stuff, but look at me, like no one. I said, look man, people will relate to you more now, because like a lot of people will be where you are, you know, and it would be nice to follow your journey. People like to see journeys, you know, and you don't have to show them the finished product. Show them, you know, what you're doing right now, because some of them can emulate what you're doing right now and it will work for them, you know. So yeah.
It's quite different, because I mean I've been where a lot of the bodybuilders are bodybuilding. I've been there. And in hindsight, I always had talked about the journey because that's where the passion was. The challenges and the workouts, the wins and the losses, and now 17 years removed from bodybuilding, I look back and some of the things that I missed the most were the hardcore knockdown, drag out workouts that I could never perform again. I'd never get under a plate, under a bar and squat 500 pounds. It's impossible for me to do at my age now. But the journey, I think, is where the most of the satisfaction came from, because a lot of stuff I did when no one was looking. Again, we didn't have the social media. And the only way someone saw the net total of my input was when the magazines came out. Me and Ronnie Coleman traveled the world doing seminars together, and we traveled two very different, distinct paths. I mean, again, Ronnie was a cop, a pizza delivery guy. He started bodybuilding in 1990. That's when he started. In 1990, I was third place in the Mr. Olympia. I'd won my first pro show in 1990. I was 24 years old. And Ronnie was just starting to lift weights. Can you imagine the look on my face in 1998 when he was standing there winning his first Olympia? Like, where did this guy come from? But it was the journey that he came in. He saw people doing what he wanted to do, but he was very passionate about the training and the journey. And when he was last place in 1992 in the Mr. Olympia, he was probably the happiest bodybuilder, because he never thought he'd ever make it to the Olympia. I was fourth in that show, and I was pissed off because I thought I should be doing better. But in retirement, Ronnie's got 8 Mr. Olympia trophies to my 0. But looking back, we can see that the most fun that we had was the process of one contest 1 year to the next, and then the inclusion of social media, and the inclusion of physique, and the inclusion of classic physique, and how we've evolved, that now you don't have to be Mr. Olympia to have a little bit of control over what it is you want the world to see, what it is you have to offer. And it sounds like now there's more opportunities for people that aren't Mr. Olympia to inspire and motivate people to become something. You don't have to be the best in the world, but be the best you, and from that, your passion, your journey can lead you to independence and financial freedom.
Exactly.
And that's where I have great appreciation for people like Simeon to come along out of obscurity and be able to have a platform like this to motivate and inspire people without having a standout trophy or even a desire to be Mr. Olympia, and still be able to motivate and stimulate people. That's the beauty of social media.
Do you know, and what you just said there is, there's a huge market of people that don't necessarily want to, win Sundowns, but they still train and they still love the sport, and like, yes, like they need motivation too, and they need to have like people that they can look to and say, that guy, he achieved a great physique without, wanting to be on that stage. I can do that too. Or because imagine if there was if the top position was just winning Olympia. It only happens to a very, 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 very few selection of people.
13 in 53 years of the Mr.
Look at that, so it's not like it's like winning the lottery, but we all love training. We all love training when it comes down to it. So my message, just like my brand, Just Live, is just live, enjoy it, and and hopefully I'm a testament to what can happen as well from really enjoying your hobby and putting passion into it.
You're doing an incredible job. Is there any other questions for my man up here? Over here? Go ahead, stand up and be counted. We can hear you if you just shout a little louder. Maybe not. Maybe not. I just heard the word acting, but you said about 10 words. Go ahead.
Okay, hi, Simeon.
Hi.
Okay, so I have a different question for you. So you said you want to get into movies, you want to become an actor and everything.
Sure.
So what if you get like a few good movies and then they ask you to lose weight and get lean?
As much as you think that's a hard question, it's a very easy question. I'm not trying to get into acting in respect of, how can I put it, wanting to change me to fit acting. No, I'm bringing me. This is me now, and I already see the roles that I would like to perform in, and they involve me being who I am now. I'm not that. I wouldn't be prepared to do that, and it's my passion is bodybuilding. But bodybuilding has got me through my worst times, best times, everything. Like, this is what I do. I'm not gonna sacrifice that for something else. That would just not happen.
I think that's a common thread, because if that were the case, why would Arnold Schwarzenegger still be in the gym? Why would Stallone still be in the gym? I mean, at the root of it all, the gym is a safe haven for people that have passion about having control. I think the gym for me gave me control over Sean Ray in all aspects of my life. And as it works for you and the fittest couple too.
Yeah.
It rubs off on the people you're with,
Sure. Yeah.
and the lifestyle that you live, and the things that you feel like you're able to accomplish. Acting is not something you can do just because you're famous. You have to know how to act, or it's not going to be believable.
Yeah.
You'll be starting at ground zero, and that's a huge challenge to go in there and you go up against seasoned actors. Let me tell you how intimidating acting is. If you are ever going to try to do something to step outside yourself, picture reading a script that your timing has to be based on how they interpret what they read.
Yeah.
And then you have to walk and memorize the lines, and you have to move and the camera angles, and then you got strangers in the room watching you, and you have to make it believable. That's a lot harder than lifting weights and standing up here half naked. Acting is no joke when it comes down to actually memorizing scripts. I know, I have a daughter that's an actor, little plug. My daughter played O.J. Simpson's daughter in O.J. Simpson versus the state of California.
Oh, wow.
And she won Best New Actress under the age of 15. So I'm very proud of what she's doing. But watching her rehearse with her mom is something that's very intimidating. And then to get on stage with the lights and the strangers, it's no joke. It's a huge challenge that he's trying to undertake. That's even bigger than trying to be a bodybuilder, because we have control of what we look like, but how we come off as an actor, that's a different animal. So if you succeed there, you've been able to do it. But again, Stallone and Arnold are examples of coming always back to their roots, which is fitness.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any final questions for our champion over here? Go ahead.
So this is like my first question for today.
Yeah.
This is kind of a big one, but I just want to ask, like, in regards to what you've said, Sean and Simeon, like, there's a lot of years in the Olympia, but there's only a few winners, and they've constantly won in consecutive years.
Yeah.
And I believe that applies also in like different aspect of life, because it's like no matter how hard we work, we can't control the the uncontrollable variables.
Yeah.
So some people are born with talent, some people are born with skill, but then nobody's born with hard work. So it's like, as you said, you're just live. Become in love with the work, be attached to it, be passionate. So I just want to see your thoughts on like acceptance that others may reach it faster or some may not reach it at all.
It's a hard one to come to terms with, but yeah, you're 100% right. Not everyone is going to achieve that goal, but like I said, if you're falling in love with the work, you might not even, sounds funny, but you might not even notice. You're enjoying what you're doing, I saw something in the post, in the paper the other day, and it was, I don't know if you guys know the model Giselle Bundchen. I don't know if I say her surname, but yeah, and it was saying she's the second highest paid supermodel in the world this year. Yes, yeah. And previous year she'd been the top highest paid. Now, it made me start thinking that, wow, some people, like, visually, her position is based on how she looks. She was born a certain way. She didn't choose to be born how she was born. And because of how she looks, the money flows in, the success flows in. It's not going to be like that for everyone. Some people you're going to have to work, but you have to accept that and just be I'm okay with that. Me personally, I'm fine to work, In fact, how I grew up, it makes me even enjoy the fact that I have to work, but people but I'm talking from a position where it's work, so it's kind of hard to judge, because if I was still trying to achieve something that I hadn't achieved yet, maybe I wouldn't speak so happy about it. That I did, because I've done it. But like the acting I haven't done yet, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about how the work of it, everything that he mentioned. I've already been to acting classes, and trust me, you get thrown in there in front of all these people, read the lines, do it right, and you are an amateur. Like, you're starting out as an amateur, like, there's professionals in the room. So, you've got to be ready to be a beginner. Be ready to be a beginner. No one started off as a pro in anything, But, just accept that, in time, things will work for you.
I think if you're passionate about what you do, it's not work. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a school teacher that doesn't want to go and teach school, but there's a classroom of 30 kids waiting for them to show up? Sometimes you just got to go and put in the work because there's other people relying on you. I know bodybuilding and lifting weights is sometimes a very lonely, isolated journey, but doing it when you don't have to do it, doing it when no one's watching, you may not be where you want to be today, but down the road you can be there. Again, I keep going back to Ronnie Coleman because it's so thought-provoking to think that in 1992 he was in that Mr. Olympia that I was in. I was 4th place, coming from 3rd place, 5th place, and I moved up to 4th in 92, and Ronnie Coleman was dead last. I didn't even know he was in the show. I saw him at the airport grabbing a bag, but I thought he was there just maybe to watch because I knew he won like the world championships, but he was actually in the contest, and no one's looking behind. We're always looking ahead. So I'm thinking Dorian Yates and Kevin Levrone. So you can imagine in 1998 when he actually won the show, and I was 5th place, I thought, holy crap, how did that happen? And then he did it again and again and again. And after 4 years of him winning, like, he retired me. I was done. It was like, he's from another planet. But he was the happiest guy on the stage in 1992 in getting last, somewhere I never had been in my life. So his appreciation for actually starting at the back of the pack, and it was a slow burn. He has a greater appreciation for being Mr. Olympia, I think, than any of the Mr. Olympias. And here I was 3 years out of high school, a professional bodybuilder, someone doing what he wanted to do one day. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum, being in the media, covering these athletes, knowing their careers, and watching them from one generation to the next. And there's a lot of stories I've seen that are good and bad. Craig Titus, Bertil Fox. I mean, there's some very hardcore bodybuilders out there that were screwed up in the head. But the athletes that make it, the ones that last, their goals, their dreams, their passions, are the reason they are where they're at. It was not an overnight thing. He's got 17 years under his belt. This didn't happen overnight. Social media, in terms of the perspective of how long Simeon's been at it, is a baby. It's an infant. But he laid the groundwork way before the social media ever came around. Ronnie Coleman was doing the work long before he got into Mr. Olympia, so that by the time he became Mr. Olympia, he wasn't an overnight sensation. So again, find your niche, find what you're passionate about, and just let your passion take you where you want to go. It may not be to the Olympia stage, but look, these doors are wide open now with social media in order for you to figure it out what it is that you're good at. If you can't do it on the stage, maybe you can help someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, is that a wrap? All right, Simeon's gonna be over here taking pictures. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you guys.
From Muscle and Fitness to RX Fitness for Men. See him on the big screen soon playing with Frank Bruno, the boxer from England.